What's up guys, it's your boy Evan, and today we would be reacting to More Crimes, The Crimes of Mort by The Theorizer part 5, because I think when I stopped at part 4 and then I decided to take a break to react to and watch rather the All Hail King Julian show, which I was able to watch every single episode, and I was also able to watch the All Hail King Julian Exiled, so the war between Kodo and King Julian, all that happened, and then pretty much everything about it. I was able to check them out, and honestly I had fun. It was one of the best DreamWorks show that I have watched outside of the Penguins of Madagascar, because I remember watching that on Nickelodeon and I really enjoyed it. Then All Hail King Julian is a close second for me, honestly. I'm really excited that I was able to check it out, and yeah, I can't wait to react to The Crimes of Mort, and I can now relate to it better now that I'm gonna be reacting to it, and I'm really excited to see what the theorizer has with regards to the shenanigans that Mort probably was up to, which I watched and I saw, but it was so hella funny I didn't even pick on anything. So the theorizer is gonna be there to pick it out for me. Anyways, this is getting too long. Yeah, if you like this reaction, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the video. Let's get it. Alright, I think we're good, we're ready, and I was able to get YouTube Premium, so yeah, no ads. We're not gonna be having ad breaks every 5 seconds. Oh yeah. I've watched
Okay,
part 1 to 4.
fine. I'll admit it. It was an April Fool's joke.
What was?
I do not actually think that Mort is from another planet in the universe. The truth is, I actually think he's from another planet in a different universe, not only unrestrained regarding the 4th and 5th dimensions, but the 6th as well. He is not a timeline, or a mirror world, or a kaleidoscopic multiverse. He is more. He is an anomalous hellspawn, more realistic and horrific than your microscopic imagination can fathom in his timeless soul jar of a
Yeah, I missed
expressly entangled
the theorizer video because of how he's able to narrate his stories.
This is completely legitimate. He simply is. And this is no joke.
Wait, is it? Wow, the intro honestly solid.
Hello, I'm
Hi.
theorizer, and sorry for that teaser in the cold open, but so many of you still somehow think this is an April Fool's joke, so I had to bait you. I subverted you by referring to assumptions of his origin, as opposed to this collective endeavor you assumed I was referencing. You must feel like quite the peasantile pufferfish. Now get your heads in the game, because we're
Alright.
the last stretch of evidence. The
Alright.
Penguins TV show. Here's the thing.
My
Mort
favorite.
appears in every episode of All Hail King Julian, but not every episode.
My favorite show of all
Because
time
I
with
can
regards to
go Andy
DreamWorks
Richter's IMDb page and highlight
shows.
every episode he appears in. That should for the most part be satisfactory, but it will be a focus shift for only the time being. He appears in I think most episodes anyways, and I've seen the show before, so I know the general plot. It's basically sometime after the first film, with the penguins and lemurs living in the Central Park Zoo. In most of his appearances, he's just the usual subservient,
Wait, he wasn't
dissonant Mort. Example, he says, "I don't like drowning," but once again he then falls into the water and doesn't drown. In this show though, Julian uses him as an object a lot more, such as a footrest or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Let's bet. In Operation Plush,
It's foggy, but I kind of remember.
visitors are consumed with purchasing the new Mort plushies because they're cute. There's then a recall, and the actual Mort gets swept along and returned to the factory to be burned. This factory is generally pretty hellish, like something out of
I think I remember bits and pieces from this episode, but man, it's been years.
I only kid, but seriously,
It's been
the point of
years.
the twist of the disassembly line is, Mort is more incompetent in this show, like he's developed more memory loss and a dependency on Julian. I can't mention all of the collateral weirdness because Mort is more of a side character here, and thus I'm not watching the show as thoroughly. But apparently Julian has a holiday dedicated to himself, and it makes him angry and obsessive when not celebrated. I'm telling you.
Yo guys, let me know where I can watch the Penguins of Madagascar because it's not on Netflix. The show.
What I have gathered, it's that
I
the
missed
crucial
it.
element that this show hammers home is not the insane number of absorbed souls or the shady alien history. It's his general inconsistency. But one main consistency, of course.
The feet.
The feet.
Yep,
In
the
what I
feet.
think is his first truly centric episode, 2 Feet High and Rising, Mort shows us that it's still the same old him. In this episode, Julian outlaws people touching his feet.
In
Mort
every
is
universe,
through
Mort
sleep.
is always going to
He
be
obsesses over them in his
attracted to the
dreams,
feet.
and he gravitates towards them during bouts of sleepwalking. He chains himself to a tree and wakes up finding that the tree has been ripped out of the ground and he's on the feet again. Julian exiles him, and he panics drawing feet everywhere, short-circuiting. The penguins, oh, bless their competent ass souls, try shocking him, putting him through therapy, among other things. and every
Yeah,
time they
that's
try to
never
initiate
gonna
Mort
work.
Away from the feet, he starts malfunctioning. Private
Robots.
analyzes him and determines that Mort has associated feet with love. We know it's an addiction, though, not love. We've seen the other show. They overload his senses with a completely disgusting boot, and it conditions him away from feet completely, to the point where he obsessively destroys them. This tells me that Mort's problem isn't with feet, but rather with an all-or-nothing sort of obsessive attitude. He
Yeah.
develops a podophobia. He's also very, very strong in this show, somewhat similarly to All Hail King Julian. Long story short, the conditioning is quickly undone. Next time he gets the chance, he grapples onto Julian's feet and starts panting, vibrating, and shaking violently. He claims to like basically everything, but that positive mindset is not wholly
The animation
conducive to
on
sanity.
Penguin of Madagascar,
He claims to be
man.
puffy and complicated. I'm skipping around a bit here.
Now
so
I
by the
see
way, if
how,
there's anything I've missed, you must
Compared
comment.
to All
Speed
Hail
run
King
analysis during the
Julian,
beginning of the theory segments,
there's an
and
upgrade.
there's, some consistency too, like how Mort recognizes characters and animals from the other show.
Oh,
In the
really?
episode Kingdom Come, Julian and
Whew.
Maurice eat bad lychee nuts and they lose their minds. They're cured later, and then the episode ends with Mort doing the exact same thing. Cut
Wow.
back. I guarantee it doesn't even make a dent in the madness he already contains. In the next few episodes, we see some more oddities, such as Rico's Pocket Universe stomach. Funny enough, they send Mort in there to fix things. Another character with a Pocket Universe stomach. I must say there's an ounce of consistency in one way or another, as Julian says he was always picked last for sports in another episode, which parallels All Hail King Julian, where they explain he was always picked first, but only because he was Prince.
Yeah,
People
because he was the
wanted
king.
popularity.
Yeah.
Semi-continuity. Which parallels how I am once again starting to think that this is a parallel universe.
Mm.
Mort gets squished constantly in this show, like completely flattened. And then comes the most memorable episode of the show, Mort Unbound. His second centric episode. Mort gets super strength after accidentally landing in Kowalski's experiment, and he has the power to crush through steel. He's like mountain lemur-sized.
Yeah.
He steals food for Julian by beating up gorillas and elephants and kangaroos. When he is denied a mere banana, though, he turns on Julian for the first time in forever and rises up. Kowalski's science has either brought out one of the dormant spirits or
Yeah.
it's transformed Mort into his idyllic state, a trans-dimensional titan. He growls like a caveman and takes Julian's feet
Or maybe
by
one
force.
of
Pride
Mort's
enlarges himself
personalities.
to give Mort the antidote, and Mort is sad, revealing that it is just Mort, and he's merely disgruntled, radicalized by years of servitude. He wants back his power. Private also starts to like the strength though too, so who knows? Well, I will, when we get to the theory. Things start to get more specific from here on out. Less starring, more dedicated recurring. Mort freezes into a block of ice, but is fine, obviously. Julian is medically confirmed to be stupid. He's used as a wrench, and his head cranks something like 2,800.
I mean, that was a no-brainer.
Alice is suspicious of the penguin's intelligence, which is a presumably unimportant but collectively crucial factor. Mort apparently only needs one cherry in his whole food supply and claims to be ever so lightly used. He obviously can eat more, such as chow mein in a prior episode or some of the madness from All Hail King Julian, but the point about his metabolism still stands. I'm missing out on a lot of the penguins' dynamics by skipping through this show, but again, I've seen lots of it in the past. I know the general plot lines, and Mort is the only one.
Man,
who
I
has
have
explicit
forgotten all the
regarding
plot lines.
In his
But I
next
remember
centric episode, Mort falls through
bits
a
and
hole,
pieces.
his skull fractures on the concrete, causing the penguins to determine that Mort cannot feel pain, but is too dumb to follow any instructions. They study him, and thank God for that, because Kowalski discovers that Mort is invulnerable due to a halo of ignorance. He physically self-actualizes his ignorance, and it prevents him from being harmed. His will is the universe's will. To do a dangerous job, the penguins attempt to remove all painful or likewise intelligent thoughts from their heads to try and replicate Mort's condition, but it just makes them completely oblivious to everything, including pain, whereas Mort, well, Mort is not quite that, as we well know. The penguins also fixate on the feet, upon this intellectual decrease, prompting Mort to vow vengeance and scream at the heavens, invoking lightning. He uses the machine on the penguins again, causing them to regain awareness before he attacks their enemy himself, and defeats it. Kowalski then drops a bomb on us when he proclaims, "Truly his powers are too mighty for mere mortals." This is so crucial because it confirms that these producers knew what they were doing. Penguins was made long before All Hail King Julian. Here they are still touting immortality, consistency, intention, terror. Mort keeps eating glue, so on, so forth. He's an honest-to-God self-saboteur. He can, as we know, detect stupidity and insanity in others, meaning he ain't it. He survives electrocution and tries ripping out his own jaw. His farts burn and he's attracted to danger. He gets flung into orbit with an elastic rope and he's completely fine in the vacuum of space. He just proclaims it's a little cold. A satellite explodes next to him with the energy of an enormous bomb and it just flings him back to Earth where he's of course fine. Also, we see the effects of this satellite explosion when a man's TV is cut off. He has a framed image of Nana's Mr. Chew on his wall. Is this
wait.
a Dubois? I suppose I'm missing important details like this in my analytical skimming, but I can always return once we move on to the DreamWorks timeline segment of this mega theory. Things like this, and other recurrent details I've mentioned, Mort yet again claims to know what he tastes like.
But that's
proving
interesting.
more consistency, and yes, still, that he's eaten himself. In the Season 1 finale, Mort lies about Julian's kidnapping so that he can caress the feet of his robotic replacement. He finally gives in and we learn that Skipper's arch-nemesis Dr. Blowhole has kidnapped Julian. Mort starts to go insane without the real feet, and he gets this raspy, whispering, aggressive voice. He runs miles and saves the penguins right as they're about to be defeated by hijacking the evil computer and hacking the laboratory. Yay. On to Season 2. Mort is mortified due to having a tail. His head makes thumping noises. The hell does that mean? Then we get one of the most memorable shots from this show. One of those shots so confounding that it sort of encapsulates why I'm doing this. Mort is either luck embodied or his will is known to the universe. Later he is crushed several times and we almost get to see his presumed feet dreams. He doesn't know the difference between sheep and roosters. He shoves sliced onion halves into his eyes and he has a frictional coefficient of 0. Self-aware jokes everywhere. Mort becomes team leader and abuses his position of power to massage Julian's butt with a tooth. Kowalski's headass is a relatable headass. Mort has no regard for continuity. He's the one character who constantly disappears in one shot and reappears in another, but I'm not sure what to make of that. Mort mocks Maurice, semi-continuity. Mort praises his job security. Julian gets nuked by Rico. Mort relishes in the scent of fear and eats his mango neighbors, semi-continuity. Kowalski points out Mort's Latin death. Mort gets eaten by a snake and tries chewing a penny. Apparently the fountain in the middle of the zoo is a wishing well and everyone starts getting...
Look, doesn't she kind of look like the Dubois lady? Or am I reaching? I know you guys will probably say I'm reaching. Whatever. But look at... just... whatever.
Magic comes
kind of looks like her though.
Alice, the suspicious zookeeper, wishes she knew what the
exactly.
When the wish comes true, revealing their lair to her, she calls on the government to apprehend them and study animal-human interrelations. I seriously need. I
really need to watch this show again, man.
After I finish the Mort aspects, because it will come supremely in handy when I discuss the magic and animal intelligence of the DreamWorks timeline. I'll probably also have to rewatch the Kung Fu Panda show.
Ooh, another part of my childhood just resurfaced. The Kung Fu Panda Legend of Awesomeness. Guys, please let me know where I can watch these shows again, man. I need to. I need to get back parts of my childhood, man. Come on, please help me. I had totally
Anyways,
forgotten
private
about
wishes that None of
this.
this ever happened. Those rewinding
I had
days
totally
starting
forgotten
on a
about this
timeline
show,
where wishes
man.
weren't made. It's my theory that somehow the Sky Gods tie into
Kung
this
Fu
magic, and it's also my theory
Panda,
that if
Legends of
Penguins Madagascar is a parallel
Awesomeness.
universe, then it has something to do with all of this rewriting history.
Oh
Now, it's
my
also
days.
possible that this was all in Private's
I just
mind
feel
after
this
being
warm
concussed
feeling
early in the episode,
all
but
of
then
a
it wouldn't
sudden.
necessarily account for many of the perspectives of various characters in the episode. Kowalski also mentions this obvious cop-out, and then they have the obligatory, but maybe it was real, at the end, thus ambiguity. Mort later talks about Christmas Steve, a spirit who knows if you've been bad or good. Mort then
More
gets the
like
creepy voice
Santa
he has in All
Claus,
Hail King Julian, and he says,
but for lemurs.
creepy, as he looks around suspiciously and slowly hides away. Semi-continuity. Mort introduces Julian to April Fool's Day, which is a huge coincidence considering my circumstances when starting all of this.
Yeah.
And Julian goes around pranking everyone. When the pranks turn on him, Julian threatens to tell on everyone to Christmas Steve, to which Mort pops up again at the very end of the episode and whispers, creepy. Sky God? I almost completely brushed over the episode entitled The Penguin Stays in the Picture because it was misplaced in this season, but in it, crucial
really?
things occur.
Like
Photographer
what?
comes to the zoo and loves Mort's cuteness over Private's, and Private wants revenge. He asks some other animals to deal with it, and later thinks he's accidentally had Mort assassinated. So he's full of regret, especially when he starts seeing Mort's ghost everywhere. Only Private sees Mort, probably due to his guilt, or
Yeah.
because it's not really Mort. But it has his personality
What do you mean it's
nailed
not
down.
really Mort?
The ghost describes itself as intangible and translucent. He violates Julian's feet as a ghost. Mort starts mocking and teasing Private. He threatens to haunt him. Very evil. Mort's ghost triplicates and starts harassing Private non-stop. He picks up a solid popsicle and tries eating it, so he can be tangible. I just spent a while discussing ghost tangibility and dimensional anomalies in my SpongeBob theory on the Flying Dutchman in preparation for this sort of thing, but I'm at a loss for words right now. Nothing can prepare me. This sick entity is always one step ahead. We later learn that Mort was not killed but kidnapped just temporarily, and that the ghost was a figment of Private's imagination.
Okay.
Ha! I doubt it. Mort is later
Yeah,
seen drawing
me
highly
too.
abstract art, as well as that fact that he picked up the popsicle as a ghost, and, well, we know how Mort operates. He has a
Nah.
multitude
Yeah,
of
yeah,
spirits
yeah,
within his mind,
personalities,
and it's
yeah,
currently
different
my running theory
personalities.
that he's an alien from a parallel universe, and
Yeah.
perhaps that this is the said parallel universe, hence the timeline malfunction. But all of that recap and presentation will come in the theory segment. I believe the animation style difference is similar to the rationale had in the three-dimensional world behind the wardrobe during Exile, in that it, denotes a variable multiverse. It's possible Mort keeps absorbing and reliving lives in different manners, like this one at the zoo, and it once again supports my theory that the entire Madagascar, or DreamWorks even canon, is a multiverse of Mort's own imagination. Again, this is
Yeah, I
something
think
will
I
try
saw another
compartmentalizing
Alex
the
Bill
theory
talking about
videos,
it,
but
yeah?
He might be onto something.
Like
He's
DreamWorks multiverse
entity,
kind
a
type
poltergeist of
shit.
infinitely many malicious souls. His goal seems to be to dominate the world and be beloved by all, so he can rule unmatched. He is the star attraction of the Central Park Zoo in this show, being considered a third, nay, fourth, nay, fifth wheel by his peers, but the cutest and most compelling attraction by the humans. It is deeply disturbing that the consistency is maintained in this show, which is not nearly as upfront about being weird and was made before the Netflix show. Oh, there's so much going on here. He's sacrificial in this show too. He drinks 20 times his own body's volume in water. Pocket universe. He can hold in urine for days. Mort finds a small basic handheld video game and never puts it down, obsessing more than the feat. Julian wants Mort's attention back, so Kowalski steals the chip from the game, as oddly it is
And how did he react?
This devastates Mort, so he gets a cell phone instead. This episode wasn't showing up at first, and I don't know why. I can't miss anything here. He does seem to feel some level of pain, though, too. In another episode, he praised the Sky Gods for forgiveness for doing something he can't remember doing. He asks if it was because he did something to Maurice's oatmeal. Julian compares Mort to a highly trained battalion with a thirst for mindless violence when proclaiming him as his personal bodyguard. Mort responds by saying, "I artichoked the ukulele hamster." Later, in an event that with flair could be described as a flood of universal truth, it is revealed that Mort only loves Julian for his feat. Devastated, Mort cries at the heavens, screaming, "It's true!" And Julian, unfazed, says, "Well, duh." Spanish Mort surfaces for a split second and reveals intimate knowledge of Mexican tradition. I'm embellishing the hell out of all of this, but you heard it here first, so when you go watching to confirm it, you already have it set in your mind that Mort is an omnicidal misanthrope. It's true, he is, but it's also just a show. Dear God. I'm saying that as if I actually have to remind you of the fundamental nature of this to reel back your perception of my alleged insanity. In the Christmas special, Mort pulls a slobbery kazoo out of his nose, confirming again his pocket universality. The lemurs seem to think that they've been in France this whole time. So could it take place after film 3? It looks here like Mort is stabbed throughout his body with pine needles. I think Mort just might be the most sane out of everyone. If you assume that every ridiculous thing he says is true, then what does this mean? When he's out shopping for a Christmas tree, he finds a twig and says,
"I know it's small and ugly, but if someone loved it, it could grow to be a beautiful swan, which is the true meaning of Chinese New Year."
Something tells me he's suddenly referring to himself, and how all he needs is attention so he can manifest his inner Cthulhu. He promptly proceeds to chop down the Rockefeller Christmas tree with a f***ing butter knife.
Yeah.
Chaos incarnate. Mort knows how to drive. He has human experience, fragmented, but he's witnessed international history. Is he the evil seated within all humans? Increasingly, there's also really spur-of-the-moment self-referential
I'm gonna watch
humor
this
within
show again.
similarly to the all-hail King Julian variety, but it's much less commonplace.
I'm gonna
More
watch this show
cautionary
again.
tales, though. Julian already knows Santa in this show, proving that this show is at least after, a timeline divergence between the short film Merry Madagascar and the second film.
Okay.
So is Santa a sky god? Are the gods aware of Lord Mortimer the Unchained over here? We still don't know. Julian abuses Mort's lack of a frictional coefficient by using him as endless ice skates. Mort then returns the favor by mistletoeing Julian's feet and producing potatoes out of thin air. Mort also takes the piece of the angel at the top of the tree in the zoo. They're not even hiding his supernatural hyperdimensional transcendence in this show either. Mort keeps attracting the feet in his sleep by swimming to them in mid-air. At this point, he doesn't even hesitate to start walking after falling hundreds of feet. He always lands right side up. It's senseless. He abuses Julian's intermittent depression by taking the feet when Julian couldn't be cared to defend himself. Mort says he wants to be under 6 feet. Not dead, literally under 6 different feet.
Yeah.
Revolutionary Mort seemingly returns for a
And
brief
with the
second.
kind of power that Mort has, I feel like
knows Taekwondo, continuity.
he just allows himself to
Stellar
be the way he
offense. We
is.
also see continuity when we
If he
witness
wants to
Mort wearing a
take,
blonde
if he wants to
wig
take
and a
Julian's
bra,
feet, he
very
will.
Similar to the sorts he wears in the show that shall not be named. A new lemur named Clemson, sounds sort of like Crimson, is placed in the zoo, and immediately he starts
Ooh.
kissing Mort's feet upon assuming Mort is a king. Mort gets deeply unsettled by this. Clemson realizes Julian is king and soon replaces the job of Mort and Maurice. Mort whispers with a sinister growl, "He's evil." Mort seems more aware of omniversal damnation since All Hail King Julian, and he can sense the wrongness ever since his internal reawakening. Turns out he's right. I also have to look into Skipper's past some time. He's been in a variety of wars that his pals have not. Delusion, reincarnation. I absolutely swear to you I make all of these videos on autopilot. I shut off at least half my brain and just exist when typing this all out. I legitimately abuse my own frequent derealization to increase productivity. You're welcome. We see the sky gods not fully working outside of Madagascar again. The lemurs engage
Man,
in
the theorizer is
superstitious behavior.
putting in
Julian
work,
says, "Yes,
man."
Mort, kick me harder." Mort flattens like a squeaky toy and tries crawling through the ventilation system to see where the air lives. Private goes on a Shakespearean tirade and calls the lemurs little leather-jerking, crystal button, agate ring, puke-stalking, caddis garter Spanish pouches. Private doesn't know what that means, and Mort screams that it's true and then says, "I think." They fire him from a cannon. Mort's tail has a mind of its own, and it's named Rodney. Has he banished one of the souls there? Who knows?
Rodney.
The penguins need him to infiltrate a rat colony, so they shave his tail and tell him to be a rat. He suddenly completely acts like one, indicating perhaps he's had the role of other sorts of animals in his
Yeah.
lifetime, a multi-faced god. He has a
Yeah.
huge red line on the skin of his tail, and he's about to explain it, but Julian cuts him off with jealousy over what he thinks is a birthmark. Later, the rats ask about it, and he gets cut off again. They kidnap Mort when he's discovered, and then he rises the ranks past even the mutated giant rat and becomes their evil king. Apparently the red mark is sacred and legendary among the rats. Julian loses it and demands he be seen as the original ringtail. Something clicked in Mort after the penguins sent him in, and he's been stuck brainwashed as a rat ever since. He accidentally forces the rats to invade the zoo when they otherwise would not have. I believe years ago he absorbed the legendary god of rats into his mind. It comes naturally to him and he screams invasion. Maybe it's revolutionary Mort again. I don't know how he would have absorbed a rat, but remember it's possible he did it to a bear once. And when the feet are used against him, Mort intentionally turns them down, saying, rats don't like feet. Turns out it's just strawberry jelly on his tail. They then take the fake rat nose off of him and he instantly snaps out of it, similarly to the instantaneous personality shifts in All Hail King Julian. This here feels more like the time he was pretending to be a tycoon, though. They ask him to be a penguin, and he does that without hesitation too. He's also joking, though, it would seem. Mort fails to be cute when he actually tries. When Skipper becomes a king for a day, Mort goes after his feet, appreciating their webbing. This implies Mort's fixation with feet lies in their association with royalty, which is crucial. It's a subservience thing. It's a 12-floor maximum security facility beneath their zoo habitat. It's like 12 separate Area 51s to the center of the earth, basically. There are Lovecraft abominations down there. Makes sense why they're so intent on hiding it. Are all these zoo animals famous military commanders reincarnated knowingly? Makes sense considering their cognitive divergences from birth. Maybe Mort is their eldritch facilitator who's causing this. The hell for his governmental captors. It could be, after all, it's his story. Mort calls Skipper crazy. Mort then uses a high-tech subatomic weapon to create a cotton candy hurricane. The penguins have seemingly met the Grim Reaper. Mort fears being punched for once. He hates other cute animals. The penguins say Mort is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Thank God I'm not alone. After being transferred to a horrible petting zoo, he plans to bite all of the children. His bite is OP. He clones and teleports in service of acting as an ergonomically acute cushion. Mort absorbs gases. Hoboken, New Jersey is considered this show's equivalent of hell, and they claim that farts might actually improve its air quality. Boom roasted. Mort gets a sensual moment reminiscent of the other show. The penguins expect Maurice to kill Julian any day now. We meet a sort of fake ghost Alex the Lion, and I'm not sure how much of this confirms the timeline or not. Mort miraculously knows all of the penguins' secret codes and passwords, but not in a consistent way. He's in tune with the collective unconscious of the quantum field. A bizarre scientific phenomenon causes everyone, including Mort, to break into song. He finds it creepy and unnatural. So do I, considering nothing should affect him, for many reasons. In another episode, Mort eats everything in a vending machine. Pocket Universe tummy. And again, Kowalski's science can overlap hard with this whole magic world we got going on here. And oh my
I remember this episode.
So anyways,
I remember that episode.
Later, King Julian
I remember
unless Mort can throw a
that episode, man.
We know he can, but he
It's a meme as well.
Ergo, he's into that Ariel Fariki shit. Next up is some vengeful herd mentality commentary, and then Mort survives an exploding missile. One of Mort's teeth is as large as his entire mouth. Julian briefly succumbs to loving Mort. Evil aliens threaten Earth and are destroyed by duplicating Jello cubes.
I do not remember this one.
Aliens from the other show. There's a season 2 episode named Alienated that involves a pretty freaky plot, but
let me guess, the aliens are gonna replicate, kidnap.
Mort calls his tail Rodney again. Mort bullies Private. Mort dismisses everyone as unimportant if they aren't within the royal circle. Maybe that's why he's so obsessed. Mort angrily raps about attacking things with coat hangers. A baby Fusa enters the zoo and Mort wants to rip out his eyes. Julian crawls through an elephant's butt and out its mouth? Julian has a nervous breakdown and Mort backs away slowly. Julian calls Rico fat. Obviously, I mean he's a pocket universe. Mort calls the baby Fusa a booty eater. Damn. Mort breaks faces and creepily relishes in it. He climbs in the sewer and laughs like the bride of Chucky. Mort blows up on dynamite. He has hella petty cash. The news thinks Mort and Maurice are furry children. Mort plays in a dog's mouth. Kowalski has experience as a
What's all this freaky
mother.
ass?
Mort finally has a bizarre romantic All Hail King Julian moment with a sock as he walks away romantically and says, "Don't be a stranger." We're getting closer to the inception of that show, so I'm not entirely surprised. Mort is a walking, talking confirmation bias. The cavalier, iconic humor is also in full effect now, such as when Julian pops by and casually says, "Hey neighbor, I'm here for a cup of money." There are weird things too, like red herring Morse code sprinkled around a toy store. Mort fears sacrifice when there are real stakes for some reason. Mort and the gang burp to save the world. Long story. More Mort licking. Ladies love him. Now we're midway through the last chunk and... oh. Half the season is missing. You see, I paid $90 to YouTube just to get all these episodes, and I didn't even get my money's worth. Just as the show.
Where can I watch it, bro? Come on.
Missing episodes either, so now I'm in a severe disadvantage. In addition to season 2,
I need to watch it myself.
Feline Fervor, King Me, The Otter Woman, Action Reaction, Thumb Drive, Private in the Winky Factory, Mental Hen, and Skipper Makes Perfect. Then, we're also missing the entirety of the show's 7-episode-long reboot finale from Nicktoons containing Operation Swampanzee, Snowmageddon, Tunnel of Love, Operation Lunicorn Apocalypse, The Penguin Who Loved Me, Best Foes, and finally, Night of the Vesuviuses. Comment if I missed any supernatural moments or Mort moments that you deem crucial at your own discretion. If I can find the missing 16 episodes, I will speed.
Why are they missing though?
Next part to this journey. The good part.
I wonder why they're missing. Like, why we can't get them from
and it's when I will take
one source, you get me?
And ideas I've been throwing about and unify them. I think that whatever happened to Mort in the credits of the Penguins film seriously screwed his mind and the timeline, but how do you fragment the fragmented?
Is he eating Julian?
Things are going to move very fast now, so
what am I looking at?
There's a lot coming in a very short amount of time. Can anyone truly be ready for it? No. The only reason I can do this is because every single time I look in a direction that has crucial information, I don't know what I'm stumbling into.
Yeah, Pandora's box.
It's the equivalent of you viewers screaming, "Don't open that door," and I swing it wide open anyways, oblivious to the fact that it was Pandora's box and I've been sucked inside, replacing the horrors that were once locked away. I've been preparing for this. I'm interdisciplinary and unemotional. Mort is a fictional character. Anything that comes at me is a monster of my own creation for the entertainment of, let's face it, myself.
I believe that. I believe that. Honestly, I do, man. That was a lot. That was a lot. I was thinking that, you know what, I'm done with whole King Julian now. I gotta look at Penguins of Madagascar now, because I have forgotten a lot about the episodes, about the story, about every single thing. It's been years, man. But nah, I mean, we all know Mort's been this way, but finding out new, creepy, new devious things or devious actions that Mort has done, especially in the Penguin of Madagascar, man, it's really now piquing my interest to watch the Penguin of Madagascar, to see myself, just as I had the interest in watching All Hail King Julian. And honestly, if you know where I can watch the Penguin of Madagascar, please let me know in the comments. I am interested, I am down, I am eager to check it out. So I'll see you guys on the next one. If you like this reaction, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.